Hey there everybody, this is Dan Strong with Excel VBA is Fun. I want to show you a little quick demo of a program I've been working on for a dear friend of mine. She manages real estate rental properties for lots of for people who need help with that. Some may be out of town, some may have a regular job, but they have either inherited or purchased a few rental properties for her to manage. Anyway, a lot of people have been asking me for some practical examples of how to really implement a whole program, not just a little macro here and there. So I'm going to show you a user form, or several rather, that have lots of macros that work together. And this one is actually not going to share this one at this time, um, but you're going to learn a lot, I think. You get a lot of inspiration, a lot of cool ideas. I want to see you guys creating stuff and learning how to do it and troubleshooting yourself. Anyways, immediately it comes up, it says rent has not been posted for the beginning of the month. Would you like to post it now? I'm going to hit no. What that would have done, it would have gone through the entire rent log, found, there's essentially a lot of hidden worksheets, and what it does is it'll go through that database and basically debit every tenancy, every property that's not vacant. It'll debit the rental amount for that month. And then, so if you're at a zero balance and you're all paid up, but your rent was, say, $450, then it would put a line in there that says negative 450, and that would add, and your current balance would now be negative 450. And when you come in and pay your rent, it would go back to zero. And it keeps track of when your last there's a way to calculate late fees. It's built in and all this. But anyway, let's click here, or you can even hit the home button on your keyboard right above the end button, or next to delete, sort of. I'm going to click on this because it's also set for that. Kind of have a new design. I used to just have these three combo boxes or drop downs, and now I have added some nifty features to these two list boxes. So this first list box includes the exact same list of owners, and this will show the current tenancies, meaning current properties, whether they're vacant or not, and including any and all tenants on a different line. So let's click on Mr. Owner. That's totally a real name, not. So this is all dummy data for the protection of, real tenants that may be there. So I've switched them all over. So Mr. Owner, and there's a yes there, that means he's active. So, but Mr. Owner owns one property. It's 321 Hello Kitty. And Dan and Sally Grasslands apparently live there. They have a zero balance because I've added a third column here that calculates all of their balances before it loads up here. Let's go to the next one. Okay, Bill and Mary Test. Okay, their address is 515 Fake, and actually that's just the unit nickname. You see that this one's vacant, so there's no balance for this one. But I will show you, if I go to the Maintenance tab here, where you can edit any owner, property, or tenant, that you can edit these and click Save. What was I going to show you? Oh, 515 Fake is actually the unit nickname that shows up here if you're going to type it in short. But the actual address could be a different address, or a fuller address, if you will. So it's more complete, 515 Fake County Road. So that's what would show up on reports that needed the actual address. For example, we have a report that prints the address and name onto a letter or a postcard or whatever kind of things that this property management uses. We'll get to that. There's ways to change all these things, and it changes them all throughout the database. That took some careful thought and consideration. You can change your status to active or inactive, rather. Going back to income expenses, let's check out some more awesome real estate LLC. This is a different scenario because they only have one property that they own, but you see there's three lines. You say, why is there three lines? Well, you got Bob and Katie Jones. They're each a separate tenant listed in the system, but they all three of these people live under the same roof. So different tenancies, you could combine them if you want, Bob and Katie Jones as one tenancy unit, if you will. or you could separate them for whatever reason. It's a preference thing. You notice as I click here or here, it changes this or the property. That also took a little while to figure out, but let's go on to Jason Dude. He owes several. You can see the bottom three are vacant, and at a glance, all his people are paid up as well, so that's good. I don't have to mess with any of that stuff. I don't have to make any phone calls, and I plan on adding a column that instead of having people to click here to the maintenance tab and going around and looking for phone numbers and stuff, it would just show maybe a phone number if you want if she wants to have it easily trackable, just as soon as you click on the owner, it brings up any phone numbers, especially, if these have a negative balance, you might want to give them a call and say, hey, come on in and, let's pay 20 bucks on it today if you can't do any more. So let's take a look at Suzy Q's one I dolled up with a lot of fake information. Suzy Q has a bunch of rental properties, and as you can see, some of these people are a little behind. Some actually have a credit, and some of them are severely behind, like this Mr. President. Sorry about the names, guys. I just threw a bunch of random names in here, and I was running out of fake names. But anyway, as you can see, it updates these here. These ones took a little longer to. I think there were some ifs or some products in VBA, and that's why you click on these labels to have that calculate. Sorry about the thunder in the background. So let's make a payment. Let's pretend that we just got a payment slip and gave them a receipt or whatever, and we got a check. And as soon as if I click on cash, it doesn't do anything. If I click on check, money order, or whatever credit card number, it'll pop the focus over here using .set focus to this text box, and I can immediately type whatever the check number is. I can hit tab. I can click up or down with these bad boys. Late fees. Late fees can be calculated. If you hover your mouse over there, it's already shown on a screen tip. The screen tips can be updated automatically. So it says 17 days late times $5 equals $85. And the 17 probably comes from this label that looks it up. So if I click this button that says I do want to include late fees on this person because they're bad-mouthing me all the time and cursing me out on the phone, so let's apply some late fees, put some pressure on. So you can do that if you want. If you deselect that, I'm going to go ahead and hit 0 and tab to the next field. And every time you exit a cell or a text box, it actually reformats it to the $sign and then 2 decimal rounding. So that's another cool feature. You can just type whatever number you want. So let's say they came in and they want to pay $1,000 because they just made a commission or got a bonus or something off of their $1,640 balance. And we do want to apply late fees, so that actually shaves off a little less. They still owe a little bit more now. But they're making progress. I'm going to say in my notes here, tenant applied $1,000. Says we'll bring more next, let's say Thursday. Okay, it's just this is how they keep track of notes. Let's go ahead and watch this right here. Watch this right here. I'm going to click submit payment, and you see that it updates. It says submitted successfully. No message box. It just goes away after a few seconds after you get that okay that it's in the system now. And you notice the balance is permanently changed even though this goes back to 0. So that's pretty cool. You can also change the amount of Section 8 received, deposits refunded. And if you want to take a look at the previous notes, I've created a kind of a module built in. You click the up arrow, and it shows the notes that was from the last time we did something. You can go up further, and there's an auto rent post that happens when you click that button at the beginning. Let's go down a couple. So here's one. There were 500 late in January, 250 in March, 500, and it all added up to what their balance was. But now I just made a quick note about what they applied and what they said. If you go too far, it says there's no more recent notes than that. Alright, so you can create a month report going 6 months back. Let's click that really quick. Alright, let's take a look what happened there. I can close this down or not. So it just shows all the notes for that particular property. So that's a report. Let's see, there's transaction report, more specific. It's very detailed. Printing a receipt for whatever transaction you want. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go to receipts over here. I'm going to click search without a date range in mind. And let's go to the most recent transaction. This one right here, the tenant applied $1,000. We just did that. I could edit the transaction. Let's click print receipt, because this is a custom report that we did. So it actually, you can cut it into thirds. You can have 1 or 2 copies for them and 1 in-house. And if you take a look here, it still shows the balance due so that they can know. Because you want them to know, also, they all have a note after the 5th, late fees will apply. It's got all your details here, the check number that they left, and it's just a really good receipt. Might put a signature line if they want me to, but so, and it's got their logo there. That's always nice. So there's a rent receipt. I'm gonna hit the home button on my keyboard, and we'll continue with our demonstration. Let's go back to income and expenses. Let's add an expense. Okay. Let's click open the expense module. Let's say that there was actually a $420 mortgage expense. So I'm going to click on here and go to mortgage. And I won't make any notes, but I'm going to enter that expense into the system. And you see that these labels take on the values of whatever was current here. So we got Susie Q, and this is the address it applies to. So if I enter that expense, you don't see anything, but you'll see it later on a report. Let's see here. Let's go to editing records. This is really cool. Let's say her name is no longer Susie Q. She changed it to a business name, so we'll call it Susie Investments LLC. I'm going to click Save Changes, and it's going to say, are you sure you want to permanently do that? I'm going to click Yes, and it runs an advanced macro that actually goes through and changes all her properties to say Susie Investments LLC, changes all her tenancies to say Susie Investments LLC, and it also changes this, and it changes it in this, and in all the worksheets that it needs to, so that it can still pull from those reports. So Susie Q is now Susie Investments LLC, all professional sounding. So that's pretty cool. Same with properties and tenants, you can make a change, and if you make changes to certain fields, for example the unit nickname or the address, the full-on address, and click Save, it will change those in every worksheet that it needs to. It'll go loop through all those. So that's pretty neat. There's also other details, the rent amount, the amenities, if there's a fridge or whatever. And the tenants have a lot of emergency contact information, pet information, lease dates, expiration dates, rent amount, stuff like that. The reports section is where it really gets pretty cool. Let's go to the envelope and postcard tools. Alright, let's do an envelope with a logo. And I'm going to click on this tenant button I put on there. So there's Lisa Juninger for whatever that address is. That's where she lives, so that's going to slap that on the envelope. If you clicked on this for the owner, click on this for emergency contact, forwarding address, none of those are filled out, but they could be. Or the owner with owner contact. So the contact still says Susie Q, but the owner business name is that. Let's click to send a letter to the tenant, and we will do the envelope here. Click OK, and it'll look like this. Nice little envelope. You shove your envelope in the printer just so, and it'll print you a logo as well as that label there. So that's pretty nice. Alright, so if you hit home, and we'll go back to our envelope and postcards tool. Also can create an envelope without that logo. Let's say she already had a bunch of envelopes with that logo on it. She didn't want to waste ink. She could print just the address to print on the envelope. Self-addressed envelope, that would mean that it would have their address up here, and the rental place's address there if she wanted to send a self-addressed envelope for them to send a payment in. And there's a postcard that she wanted me to design. It's a little bit smaller. Does the same thing. Slaps the address on there. And she has a postcard that's just a simple piece of cardstock that says, you're late, here's how many days behind, and she can write a personal note and say, please bring this in, blah, blah, blah. So there's a vacancy report. It's pretty boring, but it's important to them, of course. Monthly summary is where it is at. Let me show you the monthly summary. I'm going to click OK. See, we're going to do the beginning date would be 6/1. I'm going to hit Enter or Tab, and it puts the end of that month right there for me. Of course, I can change it if I want. And let's run that report. This is what I'm going to send. Say I was managing Susie Q, or Susie Investments LLC. If I was managing her stuff, I would send her this report every month. So here's the first page of the report. Here's the address, the rent collected, and no, see, it doesn't say any rent due because remember we didn't post the rent at the beginning of the month. So she would actually, I guess technically, owe more than this. Mr. President would on this here. So it shows the monthly income, it shows the management fees that were taken out, mortgage payments applied. So the total debit was 500 of the 1,000, and the total net. So I'm going to send this person Susie a check for $500, even though I collected 1,000 because there's bills to pay, including paying me as a property manager. Okay. So let's click home again. Now the annual cash flow report. I'm not sure if this is done. Let's do January of the year 2013. We'll run the report. Last time I looked at this, there were some errors. I may have already got the kinks out. Okay, yeah, yep. I guess it's working. Susie Investments LLC up here. Let's look at the print preview here. Hopefully that'll look nice. So it basically did whatever months they had data for. And it shows the average monthly cash flow there. Let's do, instead of fit all columns to one page, let's try to fit the entire sheet on one page. I think that would look a little bit nicer. Alright, so we can see here that there's total income, there's total expenses, income less, and a cumulative balance here going on. So, yeah. So that'd be a nice little report for the fake owner here to receive at the end of the year. I'm going to go back here. Let's do the transactions report. Pretty much the same thing. We'll do the transactions by this tenant. And let's just look at the past couple months. Let's do 3/1 all the way to 6/30 and run the report. So this shows a lot of details. The auto rent posting from the auto debiting system, the rents that were collected for each transaction, Section 8, deposits, blah blah blah. It shows the previous balance before that transaction is applied, and then way over here it shows the current balance after the monies were applied. And so it does that, and so you see that the current balance to date is negative 48. So let's see here. Okay, so let's see, let's go to the next report. I hit the home button. We got a notes report that's basically the same thing. It just shows notes in a lot larger font. We've got an owner list, a property list, a master tenant list, and you can make that active only or all tenancies. There's a who's late or behind on rent report, and that basically shows you can choose. Let's see, let's go to a specific owner, just Susie Investments LLC, and let's do where anybody that's because it starts out by 0, but let's do anybody who's negative 250 or more in the hole as a starting point, because I don't want to see these people who just owe me $3. And let's do negative 100, and I'll click on run. And so we see that there are a few tenancies here. We have got, let me see here, we've got June Cleaver and Ken Nito Jr. owe $650. We got Linda Jones who owes $606. 247 here by Mr. Clark Kent, and Mr. President is in the hole $725. So that's pretty neat. That's a good report to run. In fact, I think this is one of the reports that automatically runs whenever she closes the program. It offers to export this to a certain folder that I already have designed into it. The other report that automatically exports for her, and that's so that she can access them using her Dropbox on her iPhone. So she can go at any time, and if she updated her exports at the very end, she'd go in any time and look at the most latest export, open it in her Dropbox on her iPhone, and she can actually see who is late and by how much. So that actually runs a who's late report on all owners, properties, and tenancies to see who's below 0. So she can hunt them down and call them. Okay? Lease expiration report. Same thing. I don't think we have a lot of dates entered in here, but if we did, we could choose how far out we want to see who's expiring in the next 60 days, 90 days, whatever, so that we can maybe do a lease renewal or something like this and be aware of that, tell our owners what's going on. This is the only form that we've got going on right now. It's a residential lease. I'll show you that. Let's say we're signing up a new tenant, and I don't want to fill out 14 pages or whatever it is by hand with a bunch of redundant dates and names and all this. So I designed an actual PDF export using an FDF format. An FDF is like a PDF. It's designed by whoever designed PDFs. FDFs, you need to Google that if you wanna learn about that. But they're just a form. They have form fields, and you can actually exploit those form fields using whatever, any kind of programming, but in our case Excel VBA, right? Hey, so let's click OK. Let's fill out this lease really quick. A lot of those things automatically come to this user form because I designed it that way, because hey, we already have this property's open, so we might as well get all these forms filled out for us. So here's all the tenants that we might want to be on there. Let's remove Clark Kent from that one. We're just going to use Lisa. Signing up for a new lease, and the lease start date is going to be 8/1/2013, and the lease end date is going to be 8/1/2014. Okay. Term. None of this matters. Main thing's the date. The total rent's going to be that. The total deposit, I think we already have that on file. No pet fees or deposits. And no legal description needed. Let's see, it is a lease and not a month to month. No extra furnishings need to be filled out. All these are form fields that I shoved on a PDF that I scanned, just to tell you that flat out. Number of tenants, 1. Tenant to maintain the lawn, and utilities, let's see, tenant to pay except for no exceptions. So number of smoke detectors, let's say there was 3. Alright, let's click send to PDF. Alright, so it's revving up its engines. It's got all those form fields ready to go. Let's do the residential lease with automatic with pet addendum. So let's click on that one. That's the one I've designed with form fields using Adobe Acrobat. And it's gonna load up that form, and it's loading up the form fields right now. You can see them in blue. They've already been done. So the date of lease is 8/1/2013. And then the rent is $678. So you see that I filled out all this stuff already. I'm going to maximize this stuff here. Let's scroll down a little bit. Lisa Juniger, 1228 Molly Street. These are all fake addresses, but you see that I don't have to type it over and over and over. All this stuff is filled out for me on my PDF form. And this is an actual lease form here. So deposit is no dollars. This one I did a function, a user-defined function, custom function that takes the $675 and spells it out into like a check format, $675 and no cents. So I don't have to type or handwrite that either. Okay. One person, and there was a checkbox there. Tenant shall maintain the lawn. Okay, remember we checked that. So it just does a bunch of stuff there, a bunch of boilerplate here. But then you see all these dates that don't have to be typed in, and names that don't have to be handwritten. What kind of a time saver is that? It's quite a time saver, trust me. Deposit information, blah blah blah. Anyway, boring. You can also let's go up a little bit. Let's see, what do we got here? All these notes to the tenant and all this stuff. Let's go back up here. This one, it looks pretty normal if you take off that. the highlight existing form fields. It looks pretty normal. It looks like an actual PDF without any typing on it. If you click highlight existing fields, you can see the ones that you maybe want to type over or type onto. So this is how it looks when you print it out. It looks very professional. I'm going to exit that PDF form, which is already saved as an FDF file. So anytime you open that FDF file, it'll actually take that PDF and it will fill it with those few little fields that are assigned to that FDF file. Very interesting technology, very old technology. It's just not used that much. Anyway, read up on FDF files. Freaking cool. Once you find how to do it, oh boy. The world is yours. So I'll hit home button here. That's pretty much an exhaustive list of my reports there. Now if you click on the add new, there's add new owner, and there's a module for that, add new property, add new tenant. It's pretty basic. Sometimes I think there's a thing that guides you through adding a new person, you know, what's their deposits, what's their prorations, because maybe they're moving in on the 15th of the month instead of the 1st and stuff like that. It'll help you calculate that, but that's pretty easy to make. Click on receipts here. If you click search, you can see a full thing of receipts for that person. And if you click on, I think we already went through that, didn't we? Let's apply the rent a little bit more. Let's go to Lisa here still owes $48. See, that calculates whenever I click on something else, or if I click here, it'll run the same calculations through the database. But let's speed through it. In an practical application, Lisa is paying cash, $48. I don't need any notes. I'm going to click submit payment, and there she's got a zero balance. That's what I want to see. Clark Kent is paying he's paying $250 of his he's paid me $250 and left it in the mailbox, so he's gonna have a credit of $3 for next month, and that's okay. I'm gonna put credit 3, hit submit payment. Let's see, Linda Jones paying $606, submit payment. And June Cleaver is paying $600, but it's gonna owe $50 here. And then she comes in. Yeah, that's fine. Let's see what else. What else? Expenses. Let's add some expenses. Expense amount $300. That was a repair, broken toilet, and sheetrock. Enter that expense there. Let's click on this property. There was an expense for that one too. It was $200, and that was taxes that came up, tax lien on mowing or something like that. I don't know. Question mark. Enter that expense. Now let's run that report again. Monthly summary. Same month here for Susie Investments. But you'll see there's going to be a lot different report whenever you fill it out, because we have let's zoom in here. So we have 2,500 basically dollars here that came in, but it's not all fun and games. There's a management fee of $200. Maintenance and repairs were $300. Our mortgage was $420 because several mortgages entangled there, which will all be spelled out on the second page of expenses. All of their expenses, $200. Debit totals is $1120.32, and the total net that we're sending to Susie after paying her bills for her is $1383.68. Okay, so let's go to the next page and zoom in, and there's the addresses, the type of expenses like repair, taxes, mortgage, and the descriptions over here, and it shows the total expenses are this much total money. So that is how it works. And that's pretty much it, guys. I worked quite a bit on this. I learned a lot while making it. I tried to get very creative as I could, and hopefully that has inspired you. If you have any questions on how some of these things operate, I'll be happy to disclose that with you. But at this time, I'm not going to share this. This is proprietary. It's it took a lot of hours, and so I have partnerships with certain property managers that I'm going to keep doing that for, and possibly possibly get paid a little bit to keep that up. But hopefully you can glean something from this program here. And I hope that helped you guys. God bless you. I want to see your comments and questions. Okay. Hopefully that sparks some cool ideas. So let me know what you're creating, what you're wanting to do. Maybe I can help. Thanks and God bless.